everybody, and welcome back to Game Night Date Night. And we are now on episode 15. And Game Night Date Night is in collaboration with Games and Couples. So, Games and Couples created a rating system to help couples decide which games would be best suitable for them. Now, they do a lot of couples counseling and they use a lot of board games in their counseling session or, to give to as homework for couples to kind of spend quality time together. And this is where this rating system is so important. Now, keep in mind, one is not bad, five is not good. It just really depends on where you are as a couple. And the rating system will rate a game on three different aspects. The first one is on conversation and connection potential. So, if this is a time that you come together at the end of the day to catch up, you might want a higher score here so that you have a game that allows a lot of opportunities to hold a discussion. Now, if, however, your relationship is a little bit tense and things tend to flare up fairly easily, you may want a lower score here so that there's minimum conversation, but you still can spend some quality time together. The second one is getting to know you. How much will you learn and discover from your partner as you're playing the game? Some games really reveals a lot about another person. And it's interesting to play the games like, oh, okay, I didn't know you would think of that. So while other games are very much you do your things, I do my things, and then we compare score at the end. And there, that's not quite so revealing. And the last thing that we will be rating on is potential for hurt feelings and conflict. Let's face it, most board games is a competition to have one winner. That means we have to have one loser. And depending on how the game comes about that, sometimes there's a lot of take that element and it's a little bit cutthroat, while other ones are a little bit more mellow. And some of the games are cooperative where everybody competes together towards the same goal and you work as a team. So there's a lot less opportunity there for hurt feelings and conflict. Now, every week on Games and Couples, we will review a different game. And this month, I tried to have a theme, and this month I went with deduction games. And I've done that for two reasons. Number one, I love them. These are such great fun games. I love the puzzle, the solving, the doing all of this. So I wanted to do one where I talk about all different kinds of deduction games. Second one is these type of game I personally find plays best at two players. One player is too hard. I need somebody to help me. And then three or four or five players, I find somebody ends up not having anything to do. Two players, that's the sweet spot. So the first one we talked about this month is Unlock. Now there's a lot of different of Unlock games, which is great. There's a lot of different variety out there. And this is a card game. So you'll open this small box and it's a deck of cards and that's what you play with. It is also app driven. So you'll have to download an app on your phone and that's going to control the game. Let's look at the rating system real quick. So conversation and connection potential, I'm giving this one a 1 out of 5. The reason for that is this is timed. You have 1 hour to solve this puzzle. And if you make any mistakes along the way, it takes away some time as well. So there's a time crunch here. There's no conversation to have some idle chit chat and find out about your day. You'll have to do that after the game. Getting to know you, I'm giving this one a 3 out of 5. This will promote out of the box thinking. You need to come up with different ways to solve these puzzles, and you will discover a lot about how your partner thinks as you're playing this game. And then hurt feelings and conflict, 1 out of 5. This is a cooperative game. Everybody's playing towards the same goal. You're all going to be lost having no idea how to solve these most of the time. So you're all in the same boat. So hurt feelings and conflicts fairly low in this one. What's neat with this, as I mentioned, is all card based. Now, I don't want to show you too much so I don't reveal any hints to the puzzle. These cards you can see here is part of the tutorial, which is another thing that's great about this game. So this game, everyone will have a small set of cards that kind of runs you through a small tutorial if you don't know how to play. So it'll teach you how to work the games, the cards, the app so that you know what to do. And in the tutorial, you'll notice there'll be the blue cards, that's a puzzle piece, and the red card, that's a puzzle piece. So you're trying to match red and blue together so that you can come up with a new number. You'll add those numbers together, kind of flip through the card, see if that's available, and flip it over. Hopefully it's green and that's the solution. And then that's going to give you new things you can do. So you're unlocking as you progress. You'll have some yellow card that's going to have require some sort of solution. So you have that, then you need to come up with a code or something like that. There'll be some penalty cards. It's like, oh, let's put this and this together, and it'll give us 32. Let's check. Oh, there's a card 32. Flip it over. Eh, I don't know what you were trying to do, but you lose a minute. So it's like, oh. So it is really interesting. It's exciting. Each app, when you open the app, they'll play music. It'll have hint that you can go click if you get stuck to help you along. It's very thematic. It's great. Make sure your phone is fully charged or plugged in because it is so frustrating if it dies in the middle of a game. And then this is another one, so just different background, different music. It's a lot of attention to the to details in these apps. And then at the end, it tells you how you did. So this one, we did pretty good, 4 out of 5 stars. We ended up solving it in 42 minutes. We took a 3-minute penalty, ended up using five hints. And then this one, we struggled a little more. We got 2 out of 5 star. It took us 56 minutes. We almost didn't make it. And then ended up having to use 12 hints, 9 minutes of penalties. But it was so fun. I really enjoyed the Unlock series. Next one we talked about this month is Exit the Game. One thing that's nice about the unlock that we just talked about is you reset all the cards at the end and you can pass it on to someone else. You're not going to be able to do this with this game because this game will get destroyed as you play. At first, that almost gave me anxiety. It felt so wrong to destroy the game. Like you got to cut up or mark or use a Sharpie. It is like, oh my God, what? That seems wrong. But the experience of it, the event that it creates in your evening or whenever you're playing it is so unreal and exciting that it is worth it. And face it, it's cheaper than going to the movies and it's a lot more fun. So with this one, let's look at the rating. Same as the previous one. There's no time to have a conversation here. You're on a timer. Getting to know you. Now, I said unlock will kind of cause you to do some out of the box thinking. This one, even more so, because you're physically utilizing these items. Sometimes you got to use them in odd ways or consider something you just wouldn't have. So this really will put your brain to the test. And it's interesting to see what your partner will come up with. And I find it's always funny, like people think differently, and then you'll kind of that will get revealed as you play the game. Hurt feelings and conflict, again, a cooperative game. Everybody's trying to do the same thing together. There's a lot of stuff that comes in these games, so you get a lot of the clue cards, and then the clues will have different symbols on it. So as you come across the puzzle, it'll have a symbol so you know which one you're working on. If you get stuck, you can go to clue number 1. If you're still stuck, you can go to clue number 2, and so on until it'll kind of give you the solution on what you were missing there. There's been times where we've had to use this, so that will happen. You'll have your riddle cards that kind of moves you along in what you're trying to do. You'll have kind of different material. Sometimes there's a map, sometimes there's a little booklet. You will always have the decoder ring, and that's that little cardboard thing that kind of, and there's like multiple rings that you can move back and forth, and you're trying to come up with different answers and solution that you'll put in that decoder, and then that will give you where to go next. It's so neat. And then again, as I mentioned, there is a lot of exit the games. There's a lot of them. So these ones, and then all of them will come with different materials, its own decoder ring. They will all have the decoder ring though. And then you just kind of go with all the hints, the riddles, like they all has the same elements, but that will change from game to the game as to how it's presented. And here's a few titles, but like I mentioned, there's a lot of these. So worth it, so much fun. Gotta give it a try. They're all rated too as how difficult they are. If it's your first one, go with the lower rating and kind of work your way up as you go. Next one we talked about this month is Escape Room the Game. This was probably the first one that was gifted to me. And it's become our New Year's Eve tradition. We play one of these on New Year's Eve. The first time I got it, we played all 4 scenarios. We got the big box, and there was 4 scenarios in there. We played all 4 scenarios New Year's Eve, and it was nerve-wracking. Let's look at the rating real quick. So, conversation, connection, potential, you're on a timer. It's an hour, so you're not spending time having a conversation here. Getting to know you, again, 3 out of 5. It's interesting to see who's going to come up with what. And hurt feelings and conflict, cooperative game, we're all working together. So, it's not as likely to have some hurt feelings and conflict here. Now, what's really exciting about this game that's different from the other is you have the bomb on your table. There's an actual device there that has a countdown timer on it, and you need to defuse it before it goes off. And you have all of these keys, and these keys will have all different things on it. It'll have a number, it'll have a symbol, it'll have a different notch or a shape or something. So you don't know what's happening with these, but they'll have a different kind of bottom. And then when you come up with a puzzle, it'll be like, hey, the solution is circle, circle, square, whatever. Then you got to put the keys in the order of what it says, and then you push them all down at the same time and see if you were successful. If you're successful, it'll do a certain noise and you keep going. Otherwise, it's going to kind of do a bad sound and then take time away from your timer. So, you're wrong. And it's like, oh no, okay, we've got to figure this out. For one we played the first time, we ended up beating it with 2 seconds to spare. Your heart gets going with this one. Like, it is nerve-wracking. It is so exciting. It is so much fun. So the way that this one will work is you'll have all sorts of different material that you'll go through. They all come in envelopes. So you don't necessarily see what's coming. So it's like, okay, we're going to do this one. So you open that and you kind of pull out these different envelopes. You have a few things to start with. And it's like, okay, you get started. So you kind of review until you figure out what to do. And until it tells you open envelope, number 2. So it's like, okay, quick, we'll open this envelope now. So you're opening that, and then and then again, don't throw anything out. You don't know what you're going to be sent back to use, because you just don't know how they come up with these puzzles. Interesting and it's exciting. So keep everything. They're great. This might be my favorite just because of the actual machine that's right there. So this one doesn't really come with a device or with an app. Although if you don't have the bomb machine, because there's small expansions that gets added that you could play with the bomb or you can play with an app version of it. So there is you get the choice. Then the next one I want to talk about, and I got gifted this for my birthday from some girlfriends of mine because they knew how much I enjoyed the deduction game. And this is Pocket Detective. This is season 1, so I don't know if there's multiple season. I don't believe there is yet. The first one comes with 3 different stories, and this was really interesting. Now, before I talk about that, let's look at the rating system. Conversation. Connection, conversation, potential. I'm giving this one a 2 out of 5. Yes, you're trying to solve the murder and the crime. There's a story unraveling. There's no physical time being kept, though. So if you want to have some chit chat or take a lower pace at it, you could. It's not as hectic as the other games are. The getting to know you, 3 out of 5. Again, it's interesting. You got to come up and we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do? And then hurt feelings and conflict, 1, still a cooperative game. One thing I'll say with this one is this is really your running investigation. It's not quite as puzzly as the other one is. It's not like, okay, you have this and we try to figure out the maze or whatever it is like that. This is really you face this crime and you got to figure out, okay, well, who should we go and interview? What should we ask them? And these cards are all going to do that. So you have all the different piles of cards that it's going to send you to. So these are the pile of like the work location. These are the piles of the people at home, or these. So you have all these different categories that will send you, and then you get your beginning cards that get set up. And it's like, okay, read this one first. So then you'll read through it. And this is completely card based. There's no app with this, and it's all happens with a card. Now, all 3 scenarios will track time in a different way. The first one is every time you flip a card that has a time symbol, that much time has gone. And then when you reveal the final thing and then say, okay, I'm going to see if you solve the crime, depending on how long it took you to get there by adding up all the time symbols that you've on all the cards you've revealed, whether or not you were quick enough. I was not. I discovered who the murderer was or what the crime was, but he got away. So, not ideal. I'm a terrible detective, apparently. And the second one, it has kind of a bit of a time element, but it's more like you are you're not a police, but you're kind of trying to investigate an ongoing investigation that the police are working on. So every time you come across them, they kind of get annoyed with you until like you've just come across them too much. So every time you'll flip like a police card and they'll either kind of slap you on the hand or let you go, or eventually if it goes too far you might get arrested and then you can't solve the crime. So that has kind of that type of element to it. And then the third one is all different again. And this one is there's this thing that like you'll flip a card depending on how long it takes, whether this goes off or not, and then it kind of creates something. It's exciting. It is neat. I really enjoy this series. So yeah, Pocket Detective. Oh, let me show you. So you got all the beginning cards at the bottom, and you got all your stack, and then you go through the story and reveal cards as they tell you. And the cards are double sided, so you'll read one side, they'll tell you to go to the other side. It is neat, and it is really running an investigation. Who do you want to go to talk to? What do you want to ask them about? So it's interesting that way. The last one I want to talk about for this month is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. This is another one that's more detective based than it is puzzle based. And these are neat. So let's look at the thing: conversation, connection, potential, 2 out of 5, because you can take your time with this really if you want to. There's no time tracking per se. Getting to know you, I'm bringing this one down to a 2, mainly because there's just so much reading and like it's trying to figure out the clues in the puzzle, like not in the puzzle, the clues in the story. So you're reading and trying to get the nuance and see if you can all clue in on some of the hints that they have in the stories as you go. So it's a lot of reading, so it's not quite as revealing as doing the puzzles and that sort of stuff. Hurt feelings and conflict, again, this is a 1 because this is a cooperative game where you're all working together. With this one is each brown book here is a different case. So each one comes with a lot of cases. I want to say about a dozen, 8 to 12 anyways. And then you'll open it and then it starts and you'll read this long story about what's happening. And then something has happened and Sherlock Holmes got called in. Now you're not playing as Sherlock Holmes. You're playing as the police trying to solve this, and you're trying to do it before Sherlock Holmes will. You won't be able to beat Sherlock Holmes. He's insane. So, and I find you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of not trying, not keeping track of that, and just going through the story, going through the investigation, and see if you can figure out what happened. Just enjoy the journey. So you'll read the beginning of the story, then it'll be like, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to go talk to the wife? Do you want to go talk to the coworker? Do you want to go here? There's a bunch of newspapers that's in there. So you got physical like newspapers you'll fold out, and then depending, there might be clues in there. There's a map of London that you can kind of go and verify. It's like, okay, well, what did it say it was here? And that was, oh, wouldn't that be, so we kind of have that element to it. There's a directory of the all the people in London that'll kind of tell you, okay, well, let's go talk to the wife. That's her finding the directory, and then where you can, and then the book will send you, okay, we're gonna go talk to the wife. So then you go to this page, and then you read that portion because you're talking to the wife. How did that go? And then where does it send you from there? So it has kind of like a adventure book, a feel to it a little bit. Now this one is thinky. It will really get your brain going, and you gotta kind of, but it's like quite deduction. You really got to sit down and think. And it's like, okay, what would it? And take notes as you go and write things down and be like, let's go look at that again, or let's try, like, oh, can you read that again? Kind of go through and dig in the story to try to reveal what's happened. And then they've made a lot of these ones. So there's 4 different one of the Sherlock Holmes Consultant Detective series. And then when I posted this one on the Games and Couples Facebook page, somebody commented on then that they actually had the Cthulhu version of this. I didn't know they made a Cthulhu version of this. It's called Bureau of Investigation. I want this. I love the Cthulhu theme, so this just fits for me. So, and, what's neat is I got looking into it. There's actually a free demo that you can print to go through and get a feel of it. So if you can, go on the website, download their demo, print that out, and give it a try. So I've printed it and I'm going to be trying it. So I did that just today. So I don't know how it is, but Cthulhu, investigative mystery stories to work through, that's right up my alley. So I'm really excited to give this one a try. And that was it for the games we reviewed this month. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, my Instagram page is Mel's underscore board game underscore room. And we also have Games and Couples. On Facebook, the Facebook page, mine is Mel's Board Game Room. And we also have Games and Couple, Love in the Age of Board Game. And we also have the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room and Games and Couple, Love in the Age of Board Game. Bye, everybody.